While researching in the forest, a venomous snake bites him. He panics, drops his phone, and now can't call for help. He cut his hand trying to remove the venom himself, but it failed. He tried again at home, but it was too late. The venom was spreading and he began having strange hallucinations. He lay there for several days, until scientists came to take him away. He was still alive and barely conscious, but had no strength. He gathered his courage and tried to call out to them, but his voice failed him and they all left, thinking Ish wasn't there. A few days later, the venom had drained from the cut on his hand. The poison left in his brain was healing, but he was still having hallucinations. Regaining consciousness, he decided to go to the city hospital. He cleaned his car and headed off, but he saw something strange. The streets had no cars, the city was still. He couldn't see a single living soul, the buildings were all empty. He panicked, realizing a pandemic had spread. The deadly pandemic wiped out everyone in just a few days. Ish was a biologist. He figured his isolation for several days is why the disease missed him, and he survived. The population was wiped out. There was no government, and no one owned anything. Driving home, Ish suddenly thought of his parents. He arrived to find they had been dead for days, their bodies in a terrible state. Summoning his courage, he dug graves outside and buried them. He searched the city, found no one else alive, and decided to go to another. He took supplies and a gun and left. But the bridge to Las Vegas was also sealed. Furious, he took the long way round. He reached Las Vegas to find everyone dead. The malls, big hotels, and casinos were empty. Exhausted, he went to a hotel, enjoying its luxuries since everything was now free. He had lost all hope, but the next night, he finally met two people. They'd also survived the illness. The girl recounted her tragedy, having watched her family die on a video call, and now she had lost all hope. He also wanted to die. Living felt impossible. They stayed that night, but by morning, their intentions felt dangerous. The man with the gun wanted an easy death for all three, but Ish wanted to live, so he got up and left, hearing gunshots behind him. They'd committed suicide. The incident broke him completely, leaving him feeling utterly alone in the world. He sped home, and on the way, a dog ran out in front of his car. The dog was alone too, so Ish adopted him, giving him a new hope. Ish started life over, reading survival books, with plenty of food and drink. He no longer needed money. Each day he'd search the town for a survivor, but always returned disappointed. One day, while having tea by the window, his dog suddenly barked. He realized someone was there. Smoke from a distant house suggested someone was inside. He immediately drove his car towards the house with the smoke. Luckily, a girl was there. She was frightened, but Ish assured her he meant her no harm. He's also a lone survivor, looking for anyone else still alive. Hearing this, she lets him into her home. The girl's name is Emma. Their chat reveals the pandemic has been going on for about a year. For a whole year, Emma and Ish were alone. They were incredibly relieved to find another survivor. He was getting depressed because people need society, and the isolation was damaging his mental health. They decided that they would both live together in Ish's house because it was near the general store where food supplies were kept, and Ish had also collected a lot of things in his house, which made their stay easier. Emma moved in with Ish, and living together made their lives much better. Emma supported Ish, helping with his appearance, and together they repaired his house, which he'd neglected for a year. They worked together each morning to complete their targets. They thought that as the last two people on Earth, they should repopulate the planet. It was a mutual decision, but when Ish found out Emma was pregnant, he was terrified. He feared his children wouldn't survive this strange world. Emma reassured him it would be fine. Biologist Ish began reading books on delivering a baby, knowing they were now alone and would have to do it all by themselves. And they were both trying to make their home perfect. Ish installed solar panels to avoid power shortages. As the pandemic had dragged on, the city was becoming a jungle, with wild animals moving into urban areas. It was a big threat, so they fenced the house and kept weapons to protect themselves from animals. They domesticated several wild animals to meet their needs, keeping them all very busy. Without humans, the entire area became lush and green, with very clean air. Their health had improved, and their lives were almost perfect. But one day, they faced another big problem. Suddenly, countless rats invaded the city. Ish panicked and set his air vents on fire to keep the rats out, but it only worked for one night. Emma said they'd find a solution. He went outside at dawn. He released several cats, which ate the rats, finally solving the entire problem. At last, the day came for Emma to give birth. Ish took over, and they soon had a lovely daughter. They were both overjoyed. Filled with new hope, they went out to the streets and wrote down their home addresses so that any survivors could find them for food and water. 6 years later, Ish was driving through the forest when a wild animal blocked his car. Frightened, he stepped out to look at the creature. It was still alive, but in terrible pain, so he shot it to put it out of its misery. A girl was watching all this from a distance. The gunshot scared her. She ran into the forest. Ish also saw her running and immediately ran after her to catch her. The girl thought Ish would harm her, but Ish was not like that. He was also searching for survivors. Giving a hungry girl an apple made her realize Ish wasn't a bad person. Ish wanted to take her home, but she sat in the back of the car, not beside him. Back home, they saw the girl refuse to get out of the boot. Inside, we saw that in the years since, Ish and Emma had 2 children and were expecting their third. They had written their address everywhere in the town, and seeing that address, 2 more survivors had come to live with them, named George and Marina, and they had now been living with Ish and Emma for a year. Because they lacked nothing here, Ish brought the girl from the forest, but she wouldn't leave the truck, staying inside all night. When Marina brought food in the morning, the scared girl threw it away. Marina then told her story. She explained how she and George had been wandering this lonely world for months until they found Ish and Emma's address and moved in. She said they were good people, and they had everything they needed. This calmed the girl, and she began socializing with them. Strangely, the girl had barely spoken and still hadn't told anyone her name. One day, Marina searched her belongings and found some very peculiar drawings. She also found a letter revealing the child. The letter said that during the pandemic, her father had abused her, which is why she now offers herself to every man she meets. The letter was from her mother, asking whoever found her after she died to take care of her. After learning this, everyone took even better care of Evie. That night, Emma had their third child, delighting everyone. A year passed by. One day, they heard someone new was nearby. Terrified, they sent the children inside. The adults grabbed their guns and went out to investigate. They found 4 survivors who had also come looking for Ish and Emma's address. One was a doctor. She said in years, she'd only found 4 survivors and was now meeting Ish's family for the first time. Their faces and words showed they meant no harm. So Ish and Emma made them family too. Besides, there was plenty here. Now together they could build a large community. Ish taught the newcomers survival rules. Always keep your weapons on you, because this world's a jungle now. Wild animals can appear anytime. When going for supplies, you must always stick together, or wild animals and other dangers might harm you. With the rules made clear, everyone left. Molly, who was a doctor, brought many things from the mall and hospital that could be useful for their community and could be used to treat everyone. As the years passed, the entire group was soon full of children. The other couples had children as well, so their community was growing. Ish used to teach his children and tell them what communities were like before, how humans survived. He taught them so that they wouldn't face any difficulties later on. The house was surrounded by forest, and one day a huge lion from that forest entered their house. Thankfully, Ish spotted it in time. Ish went there to save the children, but the lion attacked him. Before the others could react, the lion badly injured him. Everyone panicked. The lion fled as they got there. Enraged by Ish's state, Emma took a gun to the forest, shooting the lion. With Molly's help, they saved Ish just in time, and his treatment began. Weeks later, Ish was himself again.